Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Marcy Utakis. I'm with Ryder Levitt Bucknell, and I serve as the chair of the membership committee. Today with me is Lisa Folsom of Sunland Asphalt, and she serves as our co-chair. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
I think also with us is Carrie Kelly, Executive Director of AED, and you probably can't see them in the office there, but Melissa and Juliana are also here with us today to help facilitate the meeting. Good morning, ladies. So welcome all to this installment of AED's Member in Focus bi-monthly virtual series, where we conduct fun and informative interviews with Arizona's leading practitioners in the field of economic development. So Lisa's going to tell us about the format of today's meeting.
Good morning. So for today's InFocus meeting, we've enabled your video so that we can all connect, but to ensure the quality of our audio, we ask that all attendees place themselves on mute. Time permits, at the end, we will take additional questions posted to the chat box. We will be keeping to our 30-minute time frame to get you all out on time today.
So Lisa and I will be your host today. And now it's my privilege to introduce one of Arizona's foremost economic developers, Jennifer Lindley from the town of Queen Creek. Good morning, Jennifer, and welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see some of my friends on here.
Absolutely. So to start, Jennifer, we're going to ask you to kind of explain what your current position and role is with the town of Queen Creek.
So I serve as the downtown development manager here at the town of Queen Creek, which means I focus on everything in sort of our downtown core area. So that includes implementing our town center plan, putting together development agreements, looking at land acquisition, disposition of land, and really taking a holistic look at creating that walkable downtown that we want to see here in Queen Creek.
Awesome. So to get started today, we like to start with some about you questions so that everybody on here can get to know you a little bit better. Lisa, go ahead and take it away.
All right, Jennifer, are you an Arizona native? If not, how did you land here?
So I am not a native. However, I did mostly grow up here in the Ahwatukee area of Arizona. I was originally born in England, and if you haven't heard this story, I do like to put on a British accent every now and then for presentations because I feel like it helps make people more interested in the conversation. So if you catch me going into a British accent, that might happen this morning too.
Totally love that. I feel like if you're speaking with an accent, you can kind of slow down and people pay more attention to you as well. All right, Jennifer, what are your hobbies and how did you get into them?
So I think I would have to say my biggest hobby and my main focus right now is my kids. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, 2 boys, and they take up quite a bit of my time between juggling soccer, school, tutoring, and all of the fun things that come along with kids. However, something that most people don't know about me is that I am extremely fascinated with true crime. And so I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and researching documentaries on true crime stories. And if I hadn't gone into economic development, I probably would have been some sort of detective or in the law enforcement industry.
What is your favorite true crime podcast?
I would have to say Criminal is a good one. But I watched a lot of Oxygen, if you have ever heard of that channel on DirecTV, and they have very specific ones about some of the cases that I like to follow.
Very cool. So what was your best vacation and why?
Well, growing up, I was very privileged to be able to travel to a lot of really cool places. My dad actually liked to surf quite a bit. And so we would go to lots of beaches and different places that had big surf. So probably my most favorite vacation was when we went to Bermuda, but I also liked Costa Rica and more recently just went to one of my bucket list items, which was Turks and Caicos. So I'm a beach gal.
No truth, crime, what, cosplay events?
No, I haven't got that far, but that's a good point. I should start looking into that.
That'd be an amazing vacation, a whodunit vacation.
Yes.
In Bermuda, no, Turks and Caicos. All right, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad we get to learn a little bit more about you personally. Right now, we've reached the part of the interview where we get to learn a little bit more about your work. So let's start with a few questions about your career.
Tell us a little bit about your current role and focus in economic development for the town of Queen Creek.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, my main goal and role here at the town of Queen Creek is to implement the town center plan. And so one of the things that I find fascinating with my role is previously I was in the city of Chandler. So when you look at the downtown and the city of Chandler, you're looking at 100+ years of type of redevelopment, revitalization that you're doing. However, Queen Creek is 32 years young. So we still have a lot of growing up to do, and we're really creating and organically creating that downtown that we want to see. So I'm privileged to have that opportunity to be able to kind of build it from the ground up.
So what inspired you to pursue the career you have today?
So it's kind of, for those of you who haven't or may have not been in economic development, I don't think there's a really clear path that we all have of how we got into this role. There's not a degree that you follow. So I went to school for business, thought I would kind of fall into that career. I actually started working at Intel Corporation when I was 15 and really enjoyed that kind of public affairs realm and community relations that I was doing. And I found a mentor that really helped guide my path to where I am today. And, you know, applied for a couple jobs and landed here in Queen Creek 7 years ago. So it wasn't something that I planned. It kind of just came to me and I fell into, but certainly a career path that I've enjoyed and continue to enjoy.
I hear that a lot. It's not one of those ones where when you're going to select your college degree, you're like economic development. So
No,
But I
There's
think
no
they
such
have
thing,
it
I don't
now,
think.
right? Now it's part of ASU and U of A's, at least, I think. It's part of their curriculum.
it's about
they have a
time.
master's in real estate, I think. But yeah, I don't think there's any specific degree that I'm aware of, even through ASU, but not in Arizona. Yeah, that's what Carrie's saying.
So what is the best advice you can give to someone who just started an economic development career?
I think I would kind of, you know, lead with finding a mentor. There's certainly opportunities within the AAED organization. I serve on the board of directors for AAED, and I know that with the mentorship program that they're kind of spearheading, there is certainly opportunities with that. If it's not within AAED, again, I would definitely encourage anybody to find a mentor and develop your skills and have them realize some things that perhaps you don't know about yourself and your strengths and weaknesses. So that would be my main advice.
You want to give a shout out to your mentor?
Well, I have a lot of mentors. So a lot of mentors growing up that I've worked with along the way, and I continue. Right now, you know, my mentor, I would consider my boss here at the town of Queen Creek. She's really developed me into what I am today.
And what is her name?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is your boss's name?
Oh, Doreen Cott. She's not on the line here, but most people know my boss, probably Doreen Cott.
Right. Okay. So in the town of Queen Creek, what is a cool industry or a business or event within the community that you'd like to tell us about that we may not already know?
So I thought I would tell you guys kind of a fun story about how we attracted our first brewery. So Queen Creek, as you know, has a very agricultural, agritourism, agritainment type industry with Schnepp Farms, the olive mill, Sossaman Farms, and some of the other industries that we have attracted. However, 7 years ago when I started at Queen Creek, we didn't have a brewery, which I thought was interesting because of those ties directly connected to the agricultural industry. So we kind of brainstormed within our department on how we could be creative about attracting a brewery. And we landed on an idea to put a advertisement in the Craft Brewers magazine. It cost us $250. And we kind of coined the term, Queen Creek is an untapped market. Get it? And it was just a real simple, $250 ad, and it went in that magazine. And we had about 10 leads that called us from that advertisement. And a year later, we landed our first brewery, Old Ellsworth Brewing. And so if you haven't been out here, it's a great opportunity for you to stop at the brewery and then maybe go to the olive mill. But it was definitely one of those win-wins and kind of a fun project for us to work on here in Queen Creek.
That's
So
fun.
say the name of the brewery again so I can write that down.
Old Ellsworth Brewing Company. And I can type it up in the chat.
Okay, yeah, so all of us have an opportunity to head out there and check it out.
Very cool. Is there a special project or program that you're working on right now or a current win that really stands out to you?
So one of the projects that I've been working on, I call it my COVID project. I have literally been working on it during COVID, is a very complex land exchange. It's not complete yet, but it certainly is a very creative approach to a project that we've done here in Queen Creek. So we essentially are working on exchanging some town-owned property with a private property owner and moving a gas station that otherwise doesn't necessarily fit into our downtown outside of our downtown area. And then the town would then own that property and be able to redevelop or develop it into the future. So that project has been, as I said, my COVID project, and something that I'm really proud of because it does have a lot of complex components to it. If you aren't familiar with a land exchange, it's governed by a state statute. And there are many, many nuances, I would say, of that, including the triggering of a GIPLET. So kind of learning that whole process too has definitely been kind of extensive, and it's still not complete yet. So it's certainly been a couple of years of working on that project, and hopefully we'll see it one day come to fruition. The other project and program that I would just mention that I'm really proud of, and I see Amanda online as well, and she's my partner in this crime, I guess, if you will. But we started Arizona Downtowns. And Arizona Downtowns is a statewide program or entity that represents cities and towns across the state of Arizona. And really, we don't have a single purpose. It's bringing all of those communities together. Anybody that's passionate about downtowns, anybody that works for downtown, maybe develops downtowns, bringing them together to talk about what's going on and how we can build each other up and work together. So Amanda put the website in the chat. We'd love for you to check it out. We have a meeting every other Friday. If you are interested in participating, there's no cost, there's no membership fee. Right now, we're still in the official formation of the organization, but we'd love for you to participate and come and join us.
Awesome, thank you. We'll have to go check out that website. Okay, now we're going to find out about how you like to do business.
So Jennifer, for companies that would like to do business with you and the town of Queen Creek, how do we get started?
The easiest way is to text, call, email, pick up the phone. I am a very social person, if you can't tell. And so I would love to get together and over coffee, a drink, or lunch and chat with you. So reach out whenever you can, or however you can.
Okay, so that kind of leads into the next question, which was if we want to meet with you, how do we go about doing it? And I think you've just answered that question. Just call, email, text. You're open to those meetings.
And I can maybe put my contact information in the chat.
Okay.
And then I would be happy to meet with anybody.
Perfect. So now we're going to get to the AAD questions. So what are your roles with AAD, and what are your top 2 favorite AAD events and why?
So I serve on the board of directors. I've served on there for a couple of years and recently got reelected to the board. I love that role. I'm excited to represent everybody and to really implement the strategic mission and goals of the organization. I also serve as the board liaison for the membership committee. So with Marcy and Lisa, we get to work together and implement the goals of the membership for the organization. My 2 favorite events, I do also serve on the Fall Forum Committee. And so I will have to say that probably one of my favorite events is the Fall Forum. So I wanted to give a little plug. If you haven't registered yet, it is coming up October 27th through the 30th in Flagstaff. We're really excited about the content and kind of leading on to that. One of my other favorite events is getting to participate in some of the academy courses that AAED offers. And so I am actually working on the coordination and planning of the next academy course, which is happening on the October 27th, which is right before the Fall Forum. And it is all about downtown. So if you can't tell, I have a passion for downtown, and I'm excited to be able to bring some of the resources and topics and discussions to the academy course on October 27th. So it should be a fun day. We will have quite a bit of content and topics and speakers in the morning. And then we are hoping to do a walking tour of Flagstaff starting at 3, which will also include some beer tasting and maybe wine tasting. So it should be fun.
So Jennifer, the Academy, is that working towards folks' AZED Pro certification?
Yes. So if you didn't know, I do have my AZED Pro, and I would encourage everybody that hasn't had an opportunity to take a look at that to do so. This really helps. So this course falls into one of the pillars, which Carrie can probably speak to because I'm not 100% sure which one it falls into, but it would then qualify you for credit towards the AZED Pro.
Yeah, so I think you can find out more about that on AED's website. So any of you that are interested in earning that certification, head up to, what'd you say was Flagstaff?
It's in Flagstaff at the Little America.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're coming to the end of our questions here. So what I want to do is open it up. First of all, I always forget to check the chat. Go ahead and you can put questions in the chat, that's fine. But if you want to unmute, come on video, whatever you feel comfortable with, and just ask some questions of Jennifer while we've got her here. She'll go ahead and answer those questions. And then let's see. All right, we've got some chat, the Downtown Academy course. Okay, so we've got a link there. And good. So what questions do you guys have for Jennifer? Tom, I know you always have a question. He's on mute.
I have a question. This is Kent.
That's a good one, too. Oh, hey, Kent.
Kent.
So how did you first get started into economic development?
So I would say the first kind of position that I had that was economic development focused came when I left Intel, and I started as a assistant at the organization East Valley Partnership. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's a coalition of East Valley cities and towns in trying to improve the quality of life in the East Valley. And to me, that was kind of my foot in the door, if you will, to kind of see what other cities and towns are doing and how they operate in economic development. So I would say my first, my first role was really at East Valley Partnership that I would consider economic development. And then it sort of transitioned to a really big focus on downtown, and I became the executive director for the Downtown Chandler Community Partnership, which is a business improvement district in downtown Chandler. And then I moved to the town of Queen Creek, where I am today. And I think all of my past positions have really helped develop what I do today within the town. And so I don't think there's one, it's hard to answer that question because I don't think there's one, one pinpoint that I could really tell you. But it was kind of a combination of a number of things that evolved to where I am today.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kent. And there's another question from John. To attract that first brewery, did you offer any incentives, and did they have any concerns of, and how did you address them?
So the first concern they had was, oh my gosh, you've never had a brewery before. What is your planning and zoning going to think, and what type of hurdles are we going to have to overcome? But we had sort of proactively address those with our planning department, and we felt like we had an opportunity to work with that brewery in order to overcome maybe some of the obstacles that are in place or were in place. And so they were fine with those. We do have a facade improvement program that we were able to offer, so that's a 50-50 match up to $40,000 for street facing facade. And because this was in the heart of our downtown, we were pretty confident that our Economic Development Commission would approve their grant for this brewery, and they did. So they did receive $40,000 from the Facade Improvement Program. But other than that, there was no other incentives that were done. There was not even a development agreement that had to happen in order for that brewery to come to downtown Queen Creek.
And did you say that they were a local brewery already, or they came from out of state?
So the Craft Brewers Guild, and I apologize if I didn't mention this, is really focused on breweries that are kind of operating out of their garage. That's what I usually tell people. So it was somebody that had a hobby, that had been, working out of their garage and was ready to take that next step, but probably didn't know how to. And so once we placed that ad, we had that ability to nurture these leads and develop them into hopefully building, a brewery, a successful brewery. And that's ultimately what we've done. They've been operating now for 5 years successfully.
That's awesome. So they're kind of a homegrown business.
They are.
Do you have any more?
They actually don't even live. They don't live in Queen Creek. They live just outside of our borders, but it was actually the mother-in-law that called me, and she said, my son-in-law has been building, breweries and these crazy machines in my garage, and I'm ready to get him out of there. So, can we work on getting him a location? And it worked for us. A year later, we had a building open up. The property owner of that building was willing to work with them. And they still are in that same place today. They're actually looking at expansion, and they're starting to do canning. So you might have them in your town and your cities soon.
Nice.
So this was kind of a family saving process?
It was.
I'd like to ask a question.
All family in.
I'd like to ask
Sure,
a
Tom.
question. If people haven't been to Queen Creek, I mean, it's such an amazing agritourism destination. You have so many attractions. It really is someplace special. If you haven't been there, you need to do it. How do you integrate your agritourism with your downtown process?
That's a great question. So with our town center plan and our downtown plan that we update on a regular basis, that was a really big component of it. While the agritourism, agritainment aspect is not necessarily in the downtown, we still want to have that presence and some sort of collaboration. So our hopes when we get to that point, which we're still, in the growing pain stage, would be to have kiosks or, physical locations that also offer the same types of olive tasting or, the flour mill that we have. And so we're trying to integrate them into our downtown. That part hasn't happened yet, but that's what we envision for the future. It's a very important part of it.
Okay, so there'll be some cross-pollination at that point.
Exactly. And we've worked with the Schnepp Farms and the olive mill to ensure that that continues to be kind of top of mind.
Cool.
Is downtown Queen Creek and the things that you're talking about, is that a walkable area?
It's becoming a walkable area. So like I said, because we're 32 years young, we still have a lot of growing up to do. One of the things that we're working on now, and kind of leading into Carrie's question about, the project that I'm most proud of, is we're starting to design roadways that make those and create those urban blocks that you want to see in downtown. So right now, if you were to come into Queen Creek, you would see a long stretch of just streetscape. And yes, you could walk down there, but they don't really break up with different activities and blocks of creative walkable things. And so we are in design for 2 new roadways that will put east-west connector roadways into our downtown that will help create those urban blocks that you typically see in other areas.
Nice. So
we really are building it from the ground up.
I foresee us coming AED for a evening mixer there one of these days, right?
Yes, we would love that.
Yes, we'll talk about that. So then leading into Carrie's question is, what is the project that you are most proud of?
So, in order to attract those developers that we want to see in our downtown, I think it's important. Our town council has really seen the investment that other cities have done with purchasing and acquiring property. So several years ago, the town purchased quite a bit of property in the downtown area, and we currently have 2 RFPs, requests for proposals, that we have issued for town-owned property in the downtown area. So we are looking for that walkable downtown, pedestrian-friendly environment and development. We're also looking for another hotel in the area and potentially some entertainment. So if you are interested in looking at those RFPs, we have them on our site, which is investtheqc.com. And those RFPs are downloadable on there, and we'd love to have any of you that are interested in potentially putting a team together submit something.
Awesome. Well, guys, it all goes so fast, but we've come to the end of our program and trying to get you guys out on time today. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for being our guest today. We so enjoyed spending time with you and getting to know you better. Don't forget, the next time we'll be meeting is November 17th to interview another economic development practitioner. And Lisa, do you want to talk about AD membership for those of you that aren't members?
Yes. So I never get to say this part. We usually wrap up real quick. So for those of you who are not already an AED member, we have a diverse and engaged membership working to promote education, collaboration, and advocacy for responsible economic development in the state of Arizona. Okay. If you'd like to learn more about AED membership, please visit aed.com. Want to thank all of you for your participation and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody. It was so nice
Thank you.
seeing you.